Hey, I've got a question for you. Have you ever heard of the parable of the prodigal son, the wayward son? It's found here in Luke, and here's what's a few things really interesting about this. First, Luke has a batch of chapters here from about chapter 10 to about chapter 19. There's about 8 chapters that this material does not occur in the other Gospels. Now, it's completely historically confirmed, and it completely aligns with the nature and the ministry and the teaching of Jesus. It's just that as Luke interviewed Peter and John and Andrew and James, apparently he found some of these sayings of Jesus that are really actually well known. And the parable of the lost son, or the prodigal son, is one of them. I want to point out to you today the context of this parable. We all know the story, or if you haven't heard of it, a dad has 2 sons. The younger son says, "Dad, essentially, you're better off to me dead. I just want your money." Incredibly shameful thing in that culture. The dad gives him the money, and he runs off to the Las Vegas of his day. He spends it all on wild living, and he ends up broke. He ends up feeding the pigs, which is another symbol of shame to their culture. What we sometimes forget is that this whole parable was told in response to an accusation from the religious leaders saying, "Jesus, here's why you're not a very good guy." And that's recorded in Luke 15, verse 1. It says, "Tax collectors and other notorious sinners often came to listen to Jesus teach. This made the Pharisees and teachers of the religious law complain that he was associating with such sinful people and even eating with them." Because in this culture, to share a meal was actually to share part of your livelihood and your lifeblood. Meals, as we know from communion, were incredibly symbolic. It was a place of family and connection and trust and honor. And Jesus would connect in that way with sinful people. So when the religious leaders said, "Jesus, why would you even do this?" Jesus responds with 3 stories of lost things, and in each story, the owner goes to great lengths and great sacrifices to find the lost things. When there's a lost sheep, the shepherd leaves the 99 healthy, good sheep to go find that one lost sheep. And it's the same with the lost son. The father wants nothing more than for him to return. The point is this: if you're far from God, if you have some unconfessed sin in your life, God has a heart that seeks after you. And if you know someone who's far from God, God wants to use you to seek after them. Let's live out the heart of Jesus today. I will see you tomorrow.